One of the most common questions I get from women all over the world, a lot, is a very controversial one. And actually, I've been putting off this question for many weeks now with Awaken TV. But this week, I'm going to tackle it without pissing too many people off. Hi there, Rachael-Jayne Groover here, and you're watching Awaken TV. This is a place where you get your weekly practice on presence, purpose, and practical spirituality. And this week, we're talking about the question that I get a lot from women mostly, which is, what do I do when my husband, my spouse, my partner is not as evolved as me? A few weeks ago, a woman posted in our closed forum for our Feminine Spirituality and Leadership program this question: how do I deal with this challenge of having a husband that's not as evolved as me? And then another woman chimed in. Yeah, Rachael-Jayne answers. And then another woman chimed in. And it reminded me of how often I'm asked this question. And I want to ask you, have you ever said this? Now, you might be married or you might be single, and you may have found yourself saying this about your dates. Today, I want you to be open to another way of looking at it, because there are blind spots here for all of us ladies and for some of you men that are watching. And I have met a lot of women, and I've met a lot of their partners, and I find two types of people. One is women who are, looking at their husband, looking at their spouse, and really noticing that there is a difference of level of personal growth work that they've done, and the husband's, watching TV and lazy each night and drinking too much or whatever it is. There is a polarity of where they are. But there's another camp where I've heard women say, oh, I'm just so much more evolved than my husband. He's a little bit like this, a little bit like that. And when I've met him, that wasn't the case at all. It's a blind spot. So I want to give you 3 things to work on this week. And if you're single, it relates to you too, about you possibly judging people too early. The first thing is I want you to watch how critical you are of this person. Having more focus on them is a defense to you moving forward in your life. Criticism and that fixation on your spouse or your partner can stop you moving forward. Oh, it's a great little trick. So watch how you are critical of that person, and instead ask yourself, what are the gifts that they bring to your life? They bring different gifts to you than you bring to them. Number 2, I want you to ask yourself, what is the shadow that you see in him? We've been working with shadow work in Awaken TV, and the shadow is the part that we don't like to integrate and we don't like to see in that person. So what are the actual qualities that run in your mind over and over and over again? He is so, she is so, fill in the blank. For example, he's so lazy. If that's the shadow that you're seeing in him, ask yourself, how am I lazy? He's lazy in ways, and you're lazy in ways, and bring it back to you and ask yourself, how am I lazy, and how can I have compassion for myself for being lazy? It's in a different way. Maybe it's defensive. Is he defensive when you bring up something to him? Ask yourself, how am I defensive? Can I be compassionate about my defensiveness? And the third tip is to make sure that you have other relationships that fulfill you, because one person can't be everything for you. And so often we look at our primary partner to be all those things for us. Find some girlfriends this week. Find other people to hang out with, and really, doesn't have to be a lot of people, but feel that community that fulfills you in all the different ways. Because when you say, this person isn't as evolved as me, you're sort of saying, you have to be evolved in the way that I'm evolved. You expect the way you are to be how somebody else should be. And funny enough, that isn't very evolved. So now I want to hear from you. You've probably got some questions about this controversial topic of what you do, how you feel. I'd love to have you post them below. And all the interaction happens over at Rachael-Jayne.com. So head on over there now and leave your comment or your piece of wisdom about this topic over there. And if you like this video, subscribe to this channel and feel free to share it with other people who are also on a path of evolution, of spiritual growth and personal growth. And if you want even more awesome resources that will help you awaken your impact, inspire change, and create wealth, head on over to Rachael-Jayne.com and sign up at the top of the page for email updates. And remember, however you're feeling today, irritated at somebody, happy, excited, everything is temporary. So stay as present as you can and enjoy each moment as much as you possibly can. Thanks so much again for watching, and we'll see you next week on Awaken TV.